Greetings, everyone. Happy Saturday to you. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Classic Album Rewind, where we take a look at some cool classic albums by some notable bands that are pretty popular albums, but maybe get overshadowed a little bit by the best-selling, legendary album that came before it. Today we're going to take a look at one of my favorite bands of all time from New York, fellow New Yorkers, Blue Oyster Cult, and the album in question is 1977 Spectres. All right, love that album cover. Just kind of, if you really kind of take a close look at it, I know it's hard to do on the CD, but if you have the LP, or if you remember having the LP and you really look closely, all sorts of cool hidden gems to be found here. Pretty spooky looking album cover, all sorts of perhaps hidden meanings. And more importantly, great songs on it. So that followed their best-selling album to date, all right, their biggest album of all time in 1976, Agents of Fortune. Of course, the album that, driven by that legendary song, Don't Fear the Reaper, right? But this is not the album we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the follow-up, which for me, I think is an even better album, okay? I have always found Agents of Fortune kind of spotty. Not really top to bottom, not as strong as some other albums in their catalog, yet that is always the album that most people cite as their best album, most popular album, it sold the most, again, driven by that great hit single, right, which is a legendary track. Totally get that. However, I think the follow-up, even better. All right, so again, this was released we're in November 1977, recorded at the record plant in New York City, on Columbia Records, produced by Murray Krugman, Sandy Pearlman, Dave Lucas, and the band, right? So what do we have on this particular album, you might ask? Well, lots of great songs. It kicks off with perhaps their second most notorious track, their second most famous track, of course, Godzilla, kicking it off in true heavy metal fashion, right? Godzilla with that big, bruising, doomy riff all about the big G from Japan, right? Written by Mr. Buck Dharma, otherwise known as Donald Roser, sung by Eric Bloom and Buck. It's a classic track. Big, like I said, big heavy riffs. Just all sorts of, if you're a Godzilla fan, all sorts of references to the great film series. So I always loved Godzilla, right? But again, it's not the best song on this album. So that follows up with Golden Age of Leather. Perhaps one of the handful of tracks in this catalog that should have been massive, legendary songs. They probably are to fans, right? But the Golden Age of Leather is just this great, accessible, hook-laden hard rocker that just exemplifies like the late 60s and the 70s, right? Sung by Buck, just under 6 minutes long, killer song, great guitar playing, great vocals. Awesome track. You talk about like 70s biker rock. That's the song right there. Followed up by the catchy Albert Bouchard sung and written Death Valley Nights. Another good mid-paced rocker with a totally catchy chorus. Again, there are so many anthems on this album. That's one of the reasons why I like this album so much. There's a ton of variety. And just every song is so memorable, including the follow-up track. I'm going to be searching for Celine. Sung by Mr. Eric Bloom himself. It's kind of funky. Has even, dare I say, sort of like a little disco flair to it. But it's still rocking, too. Great chorus. Absolutely brilliant chorus. And again, another thing I love about this album, everybody's singing on this album for the most part. All right, you got every song, you got that slightly different vocal flavor, right? Because you got, Albert and Joe and Buck and Eric all singing songs. Everybody's writing. That's just, great stuff. Over on side 2 of the vinyl, second half of the CD, Are You Ready to Rock? Yes, I Am, written by Albert Bouchard and Sandy Pearlman. Of course, Sandy was, very influential in the career of Blue Oyster Cult early on, helping out with the writing and the producing and all that stuff. Great hard rock kind of boogie anthem, sung by Eric Bloom. Great track. Who Will Rock You? Next up, Celestial the Queen. Dun-dun, dun-dun. Another big, majestic song sung by Joe Bouchard, this one. Again, the chorus, amazing. All right, Joe and Helen Wheels co-wrote this song. Another one of those tracks. There's so many songs on this album that I think should have been, could have been, radio staples. Just can't miss hooks and melodies. Great instrumentation. All right, you got up next, you got a song co-written by Eric with none other than Ian Hunter. And if you listen to it, you'd almost swear that it's like an old 50s or early 60s, just, rock and roll song. Because we're going through the motions. Going through the motions. Another should have been a hit single, right? Just don't understand why some of these songs were not released as singles. After that, track number 9, I Love the Night. Probably the slowest, most atmospheric and dreamy song on the album, written by Buck. Some really tasty guitar solos in it. Again, just kind of, Buck always has contributed songs like this in the Blue Oyster Cult repertoire. It's easily the mellowest song on the album, but it's just so intoxicating. Great, great track. And then, of course, to finish it all off, because got to leave it up to Joe Bouchard to, write a song about vampires. Nosferatu, or Nosferatu. Again, great chorus. Spooky, heavy track. Kind of proggy, right? Kind of doomy. Great vocal, great riffs. The whole thing is awesome. It's just, man, top to bottom, such a strong album. Such a strong album. And if you get the remaster of this, you got some bonus tracks. You got Night Flyer, Dial M for Murder, Please Hold, and the remake of Be My Baby. But Night Flyer and Dial M for Murder, pretty cool songs, right? So, but yeah, killer album. Killer album. This would, of course, be followed up by their great live album, Some Enchanted Evening. But I think, for me, over the, being a Blue Oyster Cult fan since probably like 1980 or so, I think the first album, or maybe it was 79. So, Cultosaurus Erectus, that's the album that I came into with Blue Oyster Cult, and I've been a fan ever since. And I will say this is the album since that day that has slowly risen up the ranks of, when I rank the albums, my favorites from Blue Oyster Cult. Maybe 20, 25 years ago, this was maybe a middle-of-the-pack album. This is an upper echelon Blue Oyster Cult album for me. This is an album that I now rank up there, with Secret Treaties and Fire of Unknown Origin and Cultosaurus Erectus. This is one of the best, and of course, Tyranny of Mutation. This is a top 5 BOC album for me now. That good. Godzilla, Golden Age of Leather, Death Valley Nights, Searching for Celine, Fireworks, Are You Ready to Rock? Did I not talk about Fireworks before? I think I completely skipped over Fireworks. Yes, I think I did. Yeah. Fireworks, sensational song. Forgive me, everybody. I completely looked over Fireworks. That's also a great track. Are You Ready to Rock? Celestial the Queen, Going Through the Motions, I Love the Night, and Nosferatu, or Nosferatu. If you haven't listened to Spectres, you need to do so. If you're a BOC fan or even somewhat of a fan, it's time to do that rewind and put this album on again and explore all its glory, all its majesty. This is a great, great, memorable, hook-laden hard rock album with plenty of psychedelic and proggy moments. It's just loaded with variety. So much fun. Such a great, strong album. And I find I listen to this album more than a lot of the other albums because, again, this is like a late bloomer for me. An album that I always liked, didn't love as much as I do now. And it's a good one. It's a classic. So thanks for watching this episode of Classic Album Rewind. We'll have another one for you tomorrow and each and every day throughout the month of June here in 2021. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Coming up, we've got tomorrow ranking the studio albums of Merciful Fate with Rich Catino and Bryce from Bryce Talks Metal. And speaking of Rich Catino, actually, after this airs, I am actually going to hang out with Mr. Catino and Mr. Chris Allo, so you might get a little video from us over the next couple days of us just kind of hanging out together. A quick little hello. Yes, we're all in the same room at the same time for the first time in forever, right? So stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching. Make sure you click on that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you want to make a donation to the channel, we have the link to our Ko-Fi page below. It is all greatly appreciated, as well as the link to our merch page where you can get all sorts of cool Sea of Tranquility, comic book easers, t-shirts, hoodies, merchandise, all that good stuff. So check into all that, and I will see you guys real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.